Hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. Now, I'm sure a few of you probably already recognize what lake this is behind me, but for those that don't, well, this is beautiful Wister Lake in southeast Oklahoma. Now, there are certainly some breathtaking views from the state park up here, but Wister Lake is probably best known as a fantastic crappie angling destination. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be fishing with our good friends Mark McGuire and Brian Young. Now, you may recognize these two gentlemen from previous episodes where each of them have shown us some crappie angling tips on Eufaula and 10 killer. Well, today these two friends team up to show us how to target springtime crappie right here on beautiful Wister Lake.
We're just scanning an area right here that's a log jam in the middle of the river, and I'm looking on the channel side of it where the break line is and on top of it. If you didn't know it was here and you were running up this river, you would find out real quick, because it's just a place of lots of stumps, and as the river comes up and floods, that all the laydowns and things like that, like this one over here, that's a big old part of the log jam right here. I want to zoom in and look for fish, but it's a shadow, it's up off the bottom. If I see it off to the side, there are going to be big white spots around it. Now, if we were really wanting to see the fish in it, I'm going to go to my down scan. So now I have to drive directly over it, but now I can see the fish. Here's a fish, there's part of the stick, there's a fish there, there's fish mixed in all in this. These are fish right here are hovered above it. So this time of year, fish are not really per se in the stuff, but they're always going to be relating to it, or they're around it.
Wister Lake is phenomenal. It's probably the #1 lake. If a man was going to catch a 3-pound crappie in the state of Oklahoma, this is where it's going to come from. There's been numerous 3-pound crappie caught out of this lake. The quality of fish that you catch out of this lake is far and beyond any of the other lakes around that I have fished. I've been crappie fishing for 35 years. It is a phenomenal crappie fishery. These fish may be offside today. May not be up here on top.
Mm-hmm. Pulled out that.
There we go.
Very good.
There's the first. We were coming over wood, saw it on a locator, and coming across that piece of wood, and he hit this 3 3/4 inch Crappie Pro was hopper. Most people that use that crappie fish think about using an inch and a half or 1 3/4 tube, small jig. We target large fish with large baits. And that's the proof of the pudding right there.
And that fish is a...
That's a female fish, and she's already spawned out.
13-inch fish.
13-inch fish, 13 and a half. Pound and a quarter, maybe a little more. It completely engulfed that 3 3/4 inch bait. There wasn't any of it sticking out of her mouth.
I think the thing that got me fired up about Wister was the 4-pound, 2-ounce lake record. I mean, everybody dreams of catching a 3, and you have a lake record like that. A 4 is unbelievable. The state record's 4 pounds 10 ounces black crappie and 414 white crappie, and it fired me up, So I mean, I had some friends down here that fished it all the time that were showing me pictures of 16, 17-inch crappie.
And you'll be surprised, you'll catch 6, 7-inch fish on these big 3 3/4 inch baits. and it'll be the same way. They'll have it all the way down to their belly. Won't be any of it sticking out of their mouth. I've actually seen the legs of this Crappie Pro washhopper out their gills, be out on the side of their face, through their gills out here just waving at you when you pick them up in the boat. The technique that we're using today is called double dipping. This pretty much explains it. We have 2 jigs. They're 14, 12, 14, 16 inches apart. The baits that we are using are Crappie Pro washhopper baits. They're 3 3/4 inches long. They were actually made for smallmouth. They also used them for trailer baits on spinners. They put them on a spinner and it causes a bigger profile bait on a bass spinner. We use them for crappie, and the reason for that is in dirty water with color. You use a bigger bait. It causes more vibration in the water, and it's also a bigger profile bait. When a crappie hits this big bait in the water, it is a vicious strike. There's another.
A little smaller, but yeah, she'll eat. And she's that's pumpkin chartreuse. He's fishing a green pumpkin pearl. So, but even that fish, we'll catch some little fish today, big as your hand, that'll eat that bait. So that fish has spawned out. That's a 11 inch fish, 11 and a half.
The color variations of baits that we use, if we were in clear water, we would be using smaller baits. The 2.5 inch lengths. In dirty water, I prefer myself a 3 inch to 3 3/4 inch bait. Color variation in dirty water, just through 30 years of fishing and experience, I like a pumpkin and chartreuse. I also like a pearl, green, red, and pepper flake. It's really good in dirty water. Also a lime and chartreuse, a bright lime body with a chartreuse tail. Works really good for dirty water.
Might be that green head.
Completely nothing left of that bait. And that's a huge bait. These fish will relate to structure, whether it's rock, whether it's wood, whether it's points, break lines, channel breaks. And that's what we were targeting. We were targeting the last spawning crappie on the wood, and we're talking 4, 5, 6 foot depth.
With side imaging, it gives you a picture of the log or the laydown or the stump or the cypress tree or the cedar bush or even the buck bushes when they're flooded. It's changed fishing so much. The only other thing that changed it years ago was when we had 2D sonar. The left side is the waypoint. Now the triangle is my boat. It'll actually be the antenna from that locator. So when we move around here, you can see that's just the bottom right there. When we start to get over that stuff, it'll come up off the bottom just a little ways. And then we know that we're over that log or that stump or whatever's there that we're fishing. So now you can't hide any of that stuff. We started in the mouth of the river because as the river floods and runs, all of that stuff gathers up somewhere and it creates structure for crappie. And today we were fishing a structure, not necessarily cover, because cover is what they like to get in with, with 2 jigs. We started fishing structure, so it would be a drop off, a lay down, a stump, so on and so forth, that they're around, not necessarily in. We put these buoys out just to have a point of reference. So there's several little clusters of stumps or laydowns, or most of this stuff is natural because we're in the mouth of a river. And we just like to have a point of reference to where it's at, so those buoys keep us on the spot. So if they're around wood, they're basically, we throw that buoy off just to put it in the area of the wood. We don't like to put the buoy right in the middle of the brush pile because we don't want that weight going down in there and spooking nothing. So we throw it off to the side for that reason, and we're able to get in there and fish the whole part of that brush pile or that lay down or stump row or so on and so forth.
You see a lot of people fishing like this, and they're moving their rods a whole lot. There's nothing in the water column, not a bait fish one that moves like that in the water. It's all right to twitch your rod tips. That creates a little vibration, a little movement, and that's good. But a lot of movement is pretty bad. So be pretty consistent in what you do. Starting off this morning, we were trying to target spawning crappie on the wood, and these fish will relate to structure, whether it's rock, whether it's wood, whether it's points, break lines, channel breaks, and that's what we were targeting. We were targeting the last spawning crappie on the wood, and we're talking 4, 5, 6 foot depth. The bite wasn't what we expected, so we decided we'd try to catch some fish out of the bushes.
There's one. There you go, Mark.
Caught that on the bottom lip.
Ain't wanting it there, are they? Suckers ain't wanting to bite.
That bite wasn't what we expected either, so we moved up the creek and was fishing the Podo River, where the Podo River runs into Wister Lake. And we went up the river, got on the break lines, and ended up finding some fish in that 8 foot water.
He was on nothing. That's a black crappie right there. They're little. Same bait.
Oh, mine come too short too.
It's a nice fish.
About 11-inch fish. The bite still wasn't what we expected, and so we moved back. We moved out to Main Lake, and what we ended up doing was finding brush piles in that 12, 14, 15 foot depth range. Tops of the brush was in about 7, 8 foot surface depth. It took us a while, but you know, we pretty much figured out the pattern.
It's probably a 10-inch fish. Big old bait.
You know, we've been fishing for so long, and if you pretty well know what the pattern is, but it kind of surprised us today because finding those fish from 14, 15 foot of water is a summertime pattern on this lake, and it was quite a surprise. But you just have to go and fish. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You just go and fish, and you learn something every time. Fishing is it's a lot of strategy. You pick your brain a lot. You know, what did I do this time last year? Where should the fish be now? But they're not always like that way, and you just have to go fish.
Always keeping that jig above the brush. You'll feel a limb and you'll let it down, maybe 6 inches to a foot. You're just trying to fish every little hole of that brush, and it's all feel.
Sometimes they won't be in the brush, they'll be on the outside of it. Sometimes you can't get bit in the brush, but you catch several fish along the outsides of it.
Getting better. Brush piles in 12 foot. A lot of the time in the summer, you can catch fish in deep water if the brush comes up high enough. That's kind of the summer pattern. Today, it was really the last thing we needed to try. We knew they weren't going to be in 20-foot stuff because that's the wintertime stuff, but we knew that maybe, hey, we try that, maybe they like a little slower presentation, not as much movement in the bait. There's a lot of wind, a lot of waves. Our baits are moving a lot more than you ever think they would. So we tried to, you know, we tried to calm those baits down a little bit, make them more minnow-like or shad-like, something they feed on, and it worked out. Keep pestering.
You know, you're always learning something, just like today. You know, we tried everything we knew to do, and ended up, we prevailed. We found them, and we caught quite a few.
Good?
Yep. Oh, he ain't good. He just better than the rest of them. Eater fish.
Getting better. He got it. Now that's eating it.
That's the way you're supposed to eat them.
No belly.
Already spawned out.
Already spawned. If you come to a lake like this, it doesn't cost anything to sit and watch. Pay attention, because those locals, and they're catching fish for a reason. Me and Mark have sat there and watched people catch fish because we were on new water. Once we watched them do it, we say, well, okay, I can do this. And don't be afraid to try something different. A lot of the time people think, and even us, we're guilty of it, those fish should be there. Well, they may be there, but that don't mean they're gonna bite. And you've got to find the fish that are gonna bite. Never beg them to bite. You got to find those fish that are feeding.
There you go.
Good.
That's a better one. That's a male fish.
Now that's a male. These are, 12,
Yeah,
13.
that's probably a little over pound fish.
Yeah.
Pound 3, pound 4.
That's what we love when we're guiding. Those right there. That's excellent. You gotta pull it across the top of that.
Yep.
Stuff. Yeah, boy. That's about what we're looking for right there, Mark. That pound, yeah.
Walled it thing.
Eating it, man.
We fished shallow this morning. We found a few fish on the break lines from that 7 to 8 foot break right on the channel. And the bite just went south. So we moved out here in deeper water. We're in about 12, 13 and a half foot of water. And the fish have moved out here in the deep brush piles.
Top of the brush?
Top of the
probably
brush.
10
This
foot.
is 7 fish. Yeah, that's one brush pile so far. Good fish.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We've covered a lot of great crappie fishing tips here on Wister Lake, and if you'd like to review this episode, as well as many of our other past episodes, we'd encourage you to look us up on YouTube. Just search Outdoor Oklahoma. For all of us at your wildlife department, I'm Todd Craighead, and we'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.